Oh man, that is a good question, and I did kind of touch on it. I always go to humor, and probably the most inappropriate times. But yeah, I would say just like Rocky Balboa said, keep punching, keep moving forward. You're going to get knocked down, but you got to get up and you got to keep moving forward. But yeah, for the most part, be positive. Oh my gosh, just I don't know, it's a pet peeve, but anybody who offers unsolicited advice really needs to kind of take a step back. You know what I mean? So don't always offer advice unless somebody's asking you for it. And then if they do ask you for it, be professional, be empathetic with your approach, be positive, again, positive energy, share it, share the positive energy and just be willing to help, because you're going to need help eventually too. And you want somebody to come at you with a positive, attitude and, with some love. But, yeah, I think that's probably the biggest message is, don't give up. I don't know if you can see that. I have a screen right here, so I can watch YouTube videos if I'm learning something, or if my students are learning something. I'll put the YouTube video up here on the screen for them, so they can watch, or even the sheet music. I'll put sheet music up here because most of them forget their book. So I've got the book in electronic form, and I'll just put the page that they're working on up here on the screen, so they can sit there at the drums and easily watch the music and try and play to it. Take you back here to the control.
The red light district.
Yeah, the red light district. I love it. Now I got to change that.
Actually, funny enough, it was funny you brought it up because I was thinking more of the hellish sword though. So like, welcome to hell, like what Venom would sing.
I love it. Gotta take a sip.
When he said it too, I'm thinking, oh shit, that's not a good thing right there.
Oh yeah, sorry. Probably shouldn't drink. It's just wine though. It's my favorite wine. It's.
No, you're fine. No, the drinking was fine. I was joking about the red light earlier, so we'll get to that in a second.
Gotcha. Yeah, this is my drink of choice. I blame my wife for this. This is her favorite too. So it's Barefoot Fruscato blueberry red wine. Delicious, and it's the cheap stuff because I'm a cheap ass. So, but yeah, so this is the MacBook Pro 2012, and I bought this because my best friend, he was in the band. We were in a band together since I was probably 16, but we didn't get really serious until a little bit later. But yeah, we were in a band, a few bands actually, Stoneface and Lemongrass. But he had passed away, and I bought this computer to kind of do a tribute album. I found like 10 songs that he had unfinished in his little handheld recorder. So I asked about 24 different musicians, local musicians, some friends of mine to help me finish his music. And so I bought this Mac, and I bought this. This was an M Audio. You can see that M Audio Profire 2626 8-channel. So I just had one of these for the interface in the Mac, and I use Logic. I'll show you here. This is.
You're a Logic guy too.
Yep. I'm a Logic guy, so I use Logic X or 10, whatever you want to call it. And that's what I used to record all his whole album. And yeah, this is the tribute album right here. It's something that he always wanted to do too. So I've seen it very well.
I can see, yeah. Memories of music.
Yeah.
Sorry for that.
I've got that on Spotify. That's on Spotify if you wanted to check that out. There's some other songs on Spotify that are kind of raunchy, so you might not want. You don't want to listen to that, without headphones. Yeah, there we go. So that's pretty much it. Logic 10. Right now I've got 2 of those Profire interfaces so that I can mic all of my drums. And then that's pretty much it, buddy. As far as recording gear, that's simple. Yeah, it's really simple, easy to get fired up and start recording.
Start doing some drums. That's our thing. We're laying down the drum tracks.
Drum tracks. You got it, buddy.
Yeah. And, I don't know if you heard me earlier, but I'm sorry for your loss. So I know it must have been pretty tough.
I appreciate that, man. It was very tough. He died May 12th, 2012. So it took me. I released the album. I mean, I got started on it pretty quick. It took me a year just to go through with stuff and trying to organize, all the musicians. But it was an experience. I recorded. I mean, most of the musicians have never met before, and I recorded them in different places, different times. Bathrooms. I recorded vocals in a bathroom one time, and living room, garages, and all that, just everywhere. And just came here and put it all together and came up with the album. That's what you hear. There's some songs that aren't as professional as I wish they would have turned out, but the purpose was to honor him. So I was really thankful that everybody helped me finish it up, and it was inspiring too to see that many musicians come together who, one, have never met Craig, and 2, have never met each other. So yeah, it was pretty cool. But,
I'm gonna say if they could have Kerry King perform a solo in the bathroom, I think they can have somebody sing in the bathroom too. So it's all good.
Right. Yeah.
That's all good here. And I forgot to ask, but I guess what brand are your drumsticks?
Oh, I've got a slew of different types of drumsticks. For my Rush tribute album, my Rush tribute for Neil Peart, I used his sticks, the 747s, the Shirakashi Oaks. And then I just started using ProMark, the Active Grip, the 5Bs. And I like those a lot. I've got that idea from Mike Hetzel, who's also a really awesome Rush drummer, cover drummer. But he uses the 5Bs, and I have really bad tendonitis in my elbow and then carpal tunnel because I've been in construction all my life, running jackhammers and impact tools and stuff like that. So yeah, it's pretty bad. So I try and use like an active grip where I'll wrap my sticks so I can kind of loosen up my grip a little bit without the sticks flying out. But I've also used Vic First. I used some JoJo Mayers, which are really short sticks, but I like those. I might even have broken ones in here. Yeah, so here's JoJo Mayer here, but they're really short. And I like them because I can let the butt of the stick go way up in my palm here. So it's the same distance as a regular stick from your fulcrum to the tip, but the stick isn't coming out like that, like a normal stick would. So I kind of grip it way back here, and it just lets it rotate a little bit more. That's why I like the JoJo Mayers. Other than that, I use some Travis Barkers with the mallet sticks. So they're Travis Barker mallet sticks, and I use that basically for warm up. I'll flip them around. They're kind of heavier sticks. I'll go grab a pair real quick. So here's the Travis Barker mallet sticks here. And I basically just use these as warm up sticks. It's almost like adding a little weight on the end. And when I sit down, I'll just do.
I was like about to hit like a Tiffany or something.
Yeah. But they have the bead on the end, just like a normal drumstick, with a mallet on the other end. So they're perfect for warm ups. Other than that, I would say the stick that I'm more exclusively using now is the Rebound 5Bs, the ProMarks, the Active Grip. Just because as your hands heat up, that active grip activates, so it becomes a little bit more grippy, a little stickier, and I can loosen my grip up a little bit, and it definitely helps my carpal tunnel.
I'll watch some of my drum covers, dude, and I'm playing like this with my whole arm moving. I'm like, I know why, because it actually hurts right about there. It starts getting a little bit painful. So I do have an appointment to see a doctor next month. So he's going to look at my carpal tunnel and then my tennis elbow. But sucks getting old.
It's like, oh my gosh, I'm getting old. That sort of thing. Yeah, I can see what you mean too. Actually, can you also use those Travis Barker sticks? Can you also use them on your cymbals? Can I give them like a nice eerie sort of sound to them?
Oh yeah, buddy. Oh yeah, you can really swell a cymbal with this. They are a little bit harder, so they're not like a soft. They're not like a soft a mallet. Like this is really soft material here. These are a little bit harder, so you do still hear a little attack when you're swelling a cymbal, but it definitely is a softer attack. So yeah, it does make for a good, like if you're playing some softer music and stuff like that, or if you need to swell a cymbal, it really brings that up from the bottom, so you don't hear the attack of the wood sticks on the cymbal or the edge of your shoulder on the cymbal. It swells up nicely for that. But yeah, and I guess if you're playing regular, it's pretty good stop right there too to keep your stick from flying out of your hand. So, I mean, I don't use them for that, but I guess you could. You can do anything, right?
We're drummers. We can improvise.
Yeah, that's right, man.
Yep. All right, that's all good. So, Johnny, we have actually talked a little over an hour right now, but we breezed through a good number of the questions here. So here, let's jump into this one right here. I guess I know you talked about some of the bands you've been a part of. So I guess how many have you been a part of? And if you want to elaborate on the ones you haven't so far, I guess go ahead.
So yeah, not a whole lot of bands in the early years. I think I first joined the band when I was maybe 17 or 18. And I had to get permission to play in the bars when we would play out because I was underage, of course. But that band was Silent Rage when we first started, and then it morphed into a band called Pillbox, and it was called Pillbox because we practiced at a campground, and it's the name of their first aid cabin was called the Pillbox, and that's where we practiced. So we just kind of adopted that name, and we played a lot of classic rock, some hair band stuff, and Brittany Fox. I don't know if you even know who that is, but Ted Nugent, Stranglehold was a big one for us. And we played some Pumpkins and, kind of all over the place, really, because all of us had, different ages and different influence. I was the youngest in the band. And then Tommy, who I took guitar lessons from, he was the guitar player. So how cool is that? Yeah, so he had a totally different musical influence than me, and Steve Farce was a guitar player, and Chad Weiss was the singer. He played bass too, but Chad he could mimic ACD. We covered ACDC, and he was like right on that song or that genre. But so that was Pillbox, and I got into another band called Stoneface, and again we played a lot of the top 40 stuff. Craig was a singer in that band, and he had just a beautiful voice. Just unmatched. I wish that he was able to be here with the way technology is now, because we were recording in his basement on that little 4-track cassette tape. You know what I mean? So that's where we started when I first met him. I was like 16. But the way technology is now, oh my gosh, he would have blew up on social media. There's just no doubt. But so I wish he was around for that. So after Stoneface, I got into another band called Radium, and we were more heavier. We played a lot of Tool. We played some Biscuit. Let me see if I can hit some other bands. But yeah, the 90s stuff, we played a lot of that. And that was a killer band, actually. We've got some music on my Spotify account, some of our originals. So all my bands were basically cover bands, and then we'd sprinkle in some originals, and that's pretty much the recipe around our area. If you wanted to play strictly originals, you had to go down to Columbus, and a lot of those bars are basically original music only because they don't want to pay that fee. I forget the name of the copyright fee to have cover bands in their club. You know what I mean? So we kind of sprinkled in the original stuff with our covers. So after Radium, I believe Yeah, I think we got into Lemongrass. So Lemongrass was a classic rock band, and lead singer was Craig. Again, Craig was my best friend, so we try and stick together when we create new bands. But yeah, Lemongrass was a fun band. It was more of a classic rock. We played all kinds of Zeppelin. I mean, Craig nailed Zeppelin, dude. I mean, everything. We played, like, obviously rock and roll. We had to play that. But he sang. We did 10 Years Gone, and he sang that to a T. And I get chills, like I'm behind the kit, da 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 da. So, well, that was Kashmir, but 10 Years Gone had that same drum fill. I'm getting my songs mixed up because it was a long time ago. And then we did Communication Breakdown, Black Dog, Bring It On Home. Our bass player played harmonica for that intro to Bring It On Home. But yeah, Lemongrass was a killer band. That was a fun band to be in. After that, I believe I did the church thing, and Jimmy and I started the band. It was called Drive. And we did a lot of, like, the new country, which is rock and roll. It's more rock and roll now than rock and roll is. So we did a lot of the new country type music. We did some classics, some Van Halen and some other good bands back then. But yeah, I can't think of them right now on the spot. But yeah, I think Drive was the last band I was in. Yeah, we did Jimmy started another band, like they called it the Jimmy Warner Band, and I don't know if I sat in with them or not, but yeah, after Craig died, I didn't want to play, man. I mean, I pretty much just gave up drumming, and I was devastated. So I went on hiatus for a while. I didn't really play much drums at all. We lived out in the country, and I was busy, trying to keep up with the horses and the ponies and the goats and the chickens. We had a little hobby farm, so I was so busy with that. My wife, I shouldn't say me, my wife did most of the work, but I did do a lot of maintenance around the house and stuff. And I built the kids, my boys, they were into basketball, so I built them a little gym inside, like a pole barn with a half-court basketball. And so just maintaining that property, I have PTSD right now just thinking about it, man. I mean, it was a lot. So we ended up just selling that, and we pretty much took control of our destiny, dude. We were getting into some, I don't want to be too transparent, but we were getting into some financial trouble, and it was like, nope, we're going to take control of our destiny. So we pretty much sold everything. I know I'm going down the freaking rabbit hole here with you, man, but yeah. So I'm on my way back to the drums here. We sold everything at the Amish house there where we lived out in Amish country, and then I somehow talked the bank into giving me a loan to build this house. And my wife and I built this with our own hands, man. Everything from the excavation, we formed and poured the walls, we did the framing, the roofing, the drywall, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, electric, plumbing. We did it all. And then I shouldn't say we did it all ourselves, but we did have a little bit of help from friends, because we get by with a little bit of help from our friends. So on like labor intensive days, we had friends come out and help us, and like on concrete pour days, we had some friends help us with the roofing and the siding and stuff like that. But yeah, pretty much it was all us. And then once I got it built enough that we could move in, we moved in, and the stress kind of lifted a little bit. And I was like, man, maybe I could play drums again. Maybe I could be a teacher. Maybe I'll just do that. So I had made a booklet, a lesson pack, like a lesson booklet, decades ago. And the dream was eventually, maybe when I retire, is to become a drum instructor. And so that happened a little bit sooner than later. Yeah, once we moved in, I built this wood shed and started giving drum lessons. And now I do drum covers. And gosh, the only reason I really started doing drum covers was, just to kind of memorialize. This sounds really morbid, but it was really just to memorialize my passion for playing drums, and that, maybe in the future, my kids or my grandkids, great grandkids could maybe look back on it and just see how I it's to see my passion for playing drums. And that's kind of morbid, but that's pretty much the reason.
We go check out Grandpa Johnny. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, man, look at that. Look at Grandpa, whatever. But so when I started putting drum covers out there, surprisingly, I think people enjoyed watching them. So I was like, wow, that's kind of cool, because we didn't have this. I'm sounding really old, but we didn't have anything like this, growing up, and it's pretty awesome to see the response, and everybody's been so positive, man. And the comments, you'll get a few comments here and there and you just blow them off because they don't have nothing better to do. But there's a lot of people, a lot of drummers out there. 99.9% of the drummers out there are so supportive, and that's awesome to see. Even locally, all the drummers here locally too are just like, good job, dude, man, I love that drum cover you posted. And so it's been really cool. I do kind of feel bad because my daughter let me know that I do a little bit too much self-promotion. So it's like I have to repost, and I have to post and repost like shorts just for like half of the subscribers to see them, because the stupid algorithms. And man, if I were to change anything, I'd probably stop competing with the algorithms, maybe stop putting myself out there so much. But who's going to, we're little fish, Brian. Who's going to promote us, right?
Not too many people. I mean, you'll get a couple of friends who might share a couple of your videos, but I know what you mean too.
Yeah.
Fortunately, you didn't answer the question because I was going to ask you about what made you get back into being a drum teacher, but fortunately you answered that too. So I guess we'll jump into YouTube a little bit here. So I guess, when did you start your YouTube channel? Was it during COVID?
Oh man, let me see if I can get my notes here. I think it was like 2018. It might have been just before COVID hit. A couple of years before COVID hit there. But I originally had started the YouTube as Woodshed Drum Lessons because I would post drum covers of my students, actually, because I think that would, that would inspire them if they can see themselves playing. Plus, they could share their videos with their family and friends and stuff like that. So if you go to my YouTube channel and click on like playlist, you'll see all of my students' playlist. So so that's pretty much why I started it, for that. And then I did a couple covers on my own. I think the first cover I did was "Cumbersome" by 7 Mary 3. That was an old song that we used to play back in the day with Craig, and that was his favorite song to play out. So I covered that one. But yeah, so it started off as Woodshed Drum Lessons, and then I ended up interjecting some of my hang gliding videos. So it wasn't all drumming videos. So I changed it to Johnny Davidson, because there was a mix of videos. And then I get some feedbacks. Oh, you shouldn't post your hang gliding videos on a drum channel. So I'm in the process of moving all my hang gliding videos to another channel called Johnny the Hang Glider. So hopefully that satisfies everybody. But normally I don't cave like that, but I kind of see their point.
You were big into hang gliding whenever you're on vacation and stuff like that?
No, I actually have a hang glider here, and I've got a powered harness. It's called a Mosquito NRG. So there's an airstrip about 10 minutes away from me here locally in a little Amish town there, or country town. And they have a grass airstrip that's 3,500 feet long. So I just put on this harness, and it's got a chainsaw engine at my feet with a propeller on it. And I just got to run as fast as my little legs will run until the glider launches. I get off the ground, and then I put my feet back in the harness and I just fly around. So yeah, just here last fall, I flew up to 6,000 feet, got above the clouds, and that was the most surreal experience of my life. The best flight I've ever taken on a hang glider, which is a powered harness. But that full flight's on my YouTube channel as well. I think it's on my new YouTube channel, but you can scrub through to I think 33 minutes. It took me about 33 minutes to get up to 6,000 feet, but I'm flying above the clouds, and it was an awesome flight. It really makes you feel like this small when you're up there and you just see the world. Yeah. Yes. Sorry, I'm getting off. This is a drum podcast. Sorry, dude.
Well, it's a technically music podcast, but actually,
Or
I've always
music,
seen hang
sorry.
gliders. I'd say I've always seen hang gliders, but I never really understood like actually how far they actually went up. To be honest, because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, 6,000 feet. I think I may lose my mind. To be honest, because
Yeah, it's a little nerve
I don't do
wracking.
too well with heights, or at least very steep heights. I think it's more of a fear of falling. To be honest.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I can understand. My wife would never. Yeah, she doesn't like to jump very high. She gets afraid of heights.
Yeah, I see what you
You got to keep that in.
Man, she's gonna tell you you're sleeping on the floor tonight, buddy.
Right. I told
Like,
her
I'll just go to my drum room. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to my drum room.
Yeah, I'll just start playing drums. You
We're gonna go visit the mistress next door.
Yeah. Love it. But,
All right.
yeah,
That's all good.
the hang gliding. I mean, you can if you're under power, like mine's a foot launch powered hang glider, so you have the engine that powers you, so that I can climb with that. But if you don't have a powered hang glider, then you're basically using you're using nature, the thermals. So you'll try and fly around and find a thermal, which is hot air rising, and you'll basically fly in that bubble of hot air and just core your way up as high as you can go, as high as the thermal will take you. But that's pretty much how hang gliding works. Or if you're ridge flying, you might fly a mountain ridge. So when the air hits the mountain, the air goes up in the air like that. It climbs. So, sorry, excuse me. You'll fly in that ridge of air, and that will just kind of keep you elevated. So, yeah.
That was pretty scary. So.
Yeah, it's fun though. I enjoy it. It's definitely something interesting to do.
Hey, to each his own. So that's all good.
Right. I've always
Stay safe out there, buddy.
Yeah, I've always been that daredevil, I guess, my whole life. But yeah, I think I've always wanted to fly ever since I've watched. I don't know if you're probably too young for The Greatest American Hero, but that was a TV show back in the day. We watched The Greatest American Hero, and he didn't know how to launch, and he didn't know how to land. I said, that's me on a hang glider. My landings suck. But
it's like I could try. Just don't ask me to land.
Right. Coming down is the easy part.
Yeah, but then you have to get your foot out and just skidding across the runway and everything too. Be like, are you okay? Nope. That'd be one of my better landings there, bud. So.
Right. Yeah, as long as I walk away from it, I don't care how I land.
It's like the front end, it's all good, but like the back's like, all the skid marks and everything too.
Right.
All right. So, Johnny, we briefed through the questions here pretty good. So now we're on to the fun ones. You ready?
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. So here, let's start with the first one. I think you spoiled it earlier, but I guess what's your favorite alcoholic drink and non-alcoholic drink?
Oh, yeah, I think I did spoil it earlier. My non-alcoholic drink, basically my health drink, what I normally take down to the woodshed when I'm playing is a fruit smoothie. So my wife makes these fruit smoothies. They're just packed full of nutrients. So I try and take those down there when I'm playing. But like if I just want to come home and relax, I'll have it's called a stress reliever. I don't even know what's in it. My wife's like a bartender up there. I mean, she's not really a bartender, but she knows how to make drinks. Oh, maybe we should cut that out because she probably don't want me to say that. But yeah, I'll have some drinks when I come home to relax. But mainly our go-to when we have dinner or just even watching a movie, my wife and I will have Barefoot right here, which is a Fruscato, blueberry, red wine.
Sounds good. I would say I always had trouble with wine. I think it was only certain kinds, but I thought it was like the great dark sort of wine I always dug. I do come by. I mean, there was always like white Zinfandel or that sort of wine. So
yeah.
When you say bartender, I think like does she know how to shake it up a little bit, or is she using like a blender, that sort of thing?
Oh well, yeah, she'll blend it up. Yep.
Okay.
It's all pretty much chopped up, liquefied.
Oh,
isn't that a Disturbed song? Oh no, Stupefied.
Stupefied. Actually, there was a.
Oh.
Actually, I was trying to think of something too. It was actually there was a funny scene in a show I watched. It was called Aqua Teen Hunger Force, and one of the main characters put a robot into like this little presser that was like coming down, like squeeze the blood out of the meat for something. He puts this robot female who's always being a jerk to him. He goes, "You're liquefied, bitch." That's
What was that, a show?
It was a show, yeah. It was an animated cartoon. It was actually really funny. It was actually on Adult Swim. It was one of those late night shows they would always put on, and actually they had it on demand. That's how I knew about it, and that's how I watched some of their episodes. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, we only got 4, 6, and 10 growing up, so I don't even know what you're talking about.
I guess that might explain what's your favorite movie.
Oh, my favorite movie. Oh man, I would probably have to say Dragon. Anything Bruce Lee, of course. But the story of Bruce Lee was a really good movie. Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. I think Jason Scott Lee starred in it. And I watched that movie so many times. I would come home from work and be able to recite. I would recite like every line, every person, every character. I knew every line of the movie. So yeah, it's got to be Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, and then the close second is all the Bruce Lee. Enter the Dragon, Fist of Fury, Game of Death, all that stuff. Yeah, those were my shows growing up, and yeah, Bruce was just an amazing philosopher. So I actually bought his books called Teo of Jeet Kune Do. And man, if you get time to, find that book and read it, there's some really good philosophy and theories in that book. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
That sounds interesting. I know I saw a little documentary they did it was on ESPN. They talked about it, how he became a star he was and all the acrobats and everything else he did, as well as the famous quote, "Be water, my friend."
Yeah,
I think that's the name they gave it too. That's the name they gave it.
I think you're right. I might have watched that. I think you're right. That was a good documentary.
Yep. May rest in peace. So.
Yeah, man.
Taken too soon.
And then his son, and gosh, man, if any family was ever cursed, it was probably that the Lee family. I mean, crazy.
There you go.
Crazy. Yeah.
But for the next two questions, for the fun questions, actually, these deal with your drum covers first. First off, was there ever a song that was too tough for you to play? Did you either give up or did you come back afterwards to finish?
Well, the first one that comes to mind is La Via Strangiato.
Of course.
Yeah, that one. I've tried to play that when I was younger, and I just couldn't, which is surprising. I couldn't do it when I'm younger, but I can do it now. Well, I'm not saying I can do it now. I did it as good as I could do it. So yeah, that was one song I walked away from, and then I did a lot of book study. I'm into drum books and trying to fill in the gaps that I didn't get the teaching when I was younger, because I didn't stick with school band. Because you learn a lot in school band with the jazz, the jazz aspect. I've never played jazz, and I wish I would have. So I'm starting to get into jazz now. I'm getting more into, I'm trying to get into more of, what's my mind went blank again. CPU overload. More of the, I have to look it up.
Was it rudimentary or something like that, or fundamental?
Yeah. No, it's more of the ethnic type beats and stuff like that. How can I not think of that? But
we've been dragging it out for too long. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Now it's now
gone.
We're using mental overload.
Yeah, it's gone. Yeah. Okay. Like the samba, the bossa nova, all that type of stuff. Just trying to expand my drumming a little bit more, so that I'm more of a well-rounded drummer. But once I got into more of the jazz stuff, there's a section in La Via Strangiato that has the the jazz section that I always struggled with, growing up, or not growing up, but when I was younger. So now I came back to it and I was able to play it. But,
would you say that's your favorite drum cover you ever done, or is there one you have planned that you think is going to be your favorite?
No, my favorite drum cover so far is surprisingly "The Big Money" by Rush. Oh my gosh, that was so fun to figure out, and I think more because I had to rewire a sustain pedal on a piano sustain pedal. I had to rewire that for a foot trigger to trigger some of the sounds that go with the snare, that go with the backbeat. So I got creative with that, and that was really fun to figure out how to rewire that. I guess I could have just bought a foot trigger because I didn't realize they're only like $80, but $80 is $80. So I just used what I had available to me, rewired the foot pedal on a piano sustain pedal, and then figuring out all the different cowbell tones that he used. If you really pay attention to the notes that he played on the cowbells, it's not the same note every time. So I bought a tree, like a cowbell tree, and really dove into the weeds on that song to figure out, which cowbells did he hit and when. And then there's a part in the song, I think he does this 3 times. He'll throw the snares on and off. Like during the intro, I believe he plays the intro with the snares off. So he's got the strainer off, and his snare sounds more like a timbale. So he plays the tom figures with the snare backbeat, which is, the snares are off for that backbeat. And then he'll do, I think, a build, and then you see him flip the snares on so that it's, it's a standard snare backbeat. And he does that like 3 times through the song. And that was really fun to study. Neil did he might have only done 1 drum clinic, and this was filmed. And I studied that drum clinic for the big money. So I did some stalking, man. I was all over, like trying to figure out every note that he played. And you could see him real quick. He has his glasses on, but you can kind of see him looking underneath his glasses, and he flips the snares on and off. So that was cool. I guess that was just more rewarding to figure out the tricks that he did in that song. And I love the song. It's a fun one to listen to as well. But other than that, yeah, man, that's probably my favorite one that I've played so far. Time Stand Still is a close second, though. Time Stand Still was really fun to figure out as well, and it's a fun song to play. The hi-hat pattern that he uses for that, it's like a disco type hi-hat pattern, and then he also uses a foot trigger for that song. Now, for that song, I did buy a proper foot trigger because my piano sustain pedal didn't last very long.
I would imagine it wouldn't. So
no, it wasn't made for that.
Actually, the way we kind of describe it too, it almost sounds like what a hybrid set would do. Like you're able to just suddenly switch, and then it's like changes the sound and like the snare, for instance. So that's kind of like what you described it as.
Yeah, it's really cool, man. I enjoyed it. I was proud of that one. Yeah.
Right. And for the final of the fun questions, what's currently your favorite song or a song you've been listening to a good bit recently?
Well, my favorite song, I already mentioned it. My favorite song to listen to that I know the lyrics to would be Time Stand Still by Rush. It's probably one of the few songs that I'll listen to the lyrics just because they mean so much. I mean, everybody goes through stuff in life, and you look back and at the good times and you wish time would stand still, for those moments. But that one, the lyrics hit heavy for me. So that's my favorite song. Because I normally don't listen to the lyrics. Like if I listen to a song, it's because of the drumming. You know what I mean? I can't tell you a single lyric on most of the songs that I love, but I can tell you what song it is after maybe 1 or 2 beats of the drums. It's like, I'm sure all of us drummers are like that. You can hear even the tone of a drum. You're like, oh, I know what song that is. Just by the sound of the drum. Like, I got into Guns N' Roses back in the day, and Use Your Illusions 1 and 2. Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. I wore that out, but there's just something about Matt Sorum's drums, that I just gravitated towards. I love that sound. So yeah, I was all over that. That fill. He used that fill in November Rain and Don't Cry and probably a few other ones. But it's a simple fill where it's like, man, that's how the drums are supposed to be played. So did I digress again? I probably did.
I think you will notice that a good number of us drummers tend to use like the same fill. Because I know Both For was actually guilty of that, where I think if you listen to like the War Master album, you'll notice there's a certain drum pattern that's like repeated throughout pretty much every song, and for better or worse, it works.
Exactly.
I mean, you may think it's getting old, but I mean, like it works. So I don't know what else you could do there. So
yeah, I listen to a lot of Kenny Aronoff. I listen to a lot of his podcasts here lately, and he talks a little bit about that. He's the most recorded drummer, I think, in history, other than maybe some of the country, recording drummers down there. But he's on like every pop song there is, But yeah, he says pretty much the same thing. He plays a lot of the same beats because they work. You don't need to get flashy. So yeah, he's probably one of my favorite drummers actually, and I've been told that I resemble him, and maybe not necessarily playing, but maybe a little bit looks with the big honker. I need to get.
Do you consider yourself the more sexier of the two?
Right. No, he's badass though, man. I love that dude.
Yeah, that sounds good. So, Johnny, we are almost out of time, but we are down to one more question. Before we jump into it, did you have any questions for me or any final words you want to say before we jump into it?
Yeah, man. So what got you into doing the podcast? This is pretty awesome for you to do this, man.
Actually, I've been meaning to actually podcast for a little while, but it actually happened during COVID when I initially started doing it. And really, I think I just wanted to talk with people and then maybe see where it went, to be honest. Afterwards, I realized, I could actually help people get their names out there too, because you said this is your first time doing something like this.
That's true. So, yeah.
Now we know more of your backstory, so people now know more about the person than so much like the person behind the drum set sitting on the throne.
Right.
So it initially started off with just drummers, but then I started including a couple people who were like vocalists or guitarists and something like that too. Then I branched out even further last year because I joined a Facebook group called Band Together who has all these indie artists, whether it's like, most of them have been like in the rock genres, for instance. There's a couple I've done from metal. I don't think I've seen any R&Bs yet, to be honest. So I have to see if there's any in that group, to be honest. So really, but also I think the biggest thing was it was to help bring down my introverted side, because I had a real bad stint in sales and I realized I really couldn't interact with strangers very well.
Oh,
so at least in this way, I don't have to go up there and try to sell you something and be like, what's your social security number?
Yeah. No, I feel you, man. I'm actually surprisingly an introvert. I mean, it's funny because when I was younger, I was definitely an extrovert, and maybe in the right situation, that personality comes out. But yeah, and I never used to get stage fright. But when I played at the church here locally, here just before COVID, I got back into playing in church, and gosh, I would get so nervous just going out on stage, and I don't know what it is, but yeah, I feel you on the introvert thing. Yeah, I like to stay in my little bubble.
Now we've expanded to a greater audience, and when I reach out to you, I was just like, let's see what he says. It's 50-50. So.
Oh man, I'm glad to help. If I am help, I don't know. Once this airs, you might get canceled.
It's too long. Oh my gosh. What are you doing? Nobody wants to watch at least an hour and 40 minutes of this guy talking.
Right. They barely want to watch my drumming.
I want to get here like 30 seconds of these drum covers.
Right?
Yeah.
My shorts need to be shorter.
Yep. Unfortunately. It's tragic, but yeah. But that's
it's really cool that
also
you're doing this, man. I'm happy for you, and it's always awesome to see people, chasing their dreams, basically. You know what I mean? So, I mean, everybody starts somewhere, so you never know where this might take you. So I wish you the best, and I think you're going to do great, man.
It would be nice to make this a full-time career at some point. Be like the Joe Rogan podcast at one point.
Right. Can you imagine doing what you love for the rest of your life?
You're telling me. That would be nice. So
yeah, shoot.
We're still working towards it. Hopefully this year we at least break it into the monetization. So we'll see what happens.
Well, like Rocky Balboa says, you got to keep moving forward. Oh, that's another terrible invitation. Oh my God. You have to cut that out too. You're going to have so much editing in this.
Well, trust me, it was a lot worse. So this guy makes it a little bit easier in terms of editing too. It was actually a Ecamm recorder was the name that it was called. It used to drive me crazy because sometimes it would miss parts where the audio for some reason just did not pick up for some reason. And it drove me crazy. Because then you have to line up the video to make sure it all matches and everything. So
right.
Sadly, but it's a fact. But
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No. I was going to say, did you have anything, other questions, or what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, you mentioned about lining up audio and stuff. And I'm just, when I do my drum covers, I use a GoPro for my overhead video. And for some reason, I don't think it records in the same frame rate. So whenever I drag that video in, I've got to cut it up and like realign it with the other, like the main camera. Got to realign it with that, realign it with the audio. And it's, drum covers are a pain in the butt, dude. I mean, they are time consuming. I don't think people really realize how much time it takes to do a drum cover. To do it, as good as you possibly can. But it's fun though. I mean, I enjoy it. I'll keep doing it when I have time. But yeah, I know what you mean by lining everything up. So you kind of steered me in that direction. That's why I mentioned that. But,
I see.
Yeah. So what's your? So what if I ask you the same questions?
What's that?
We can make this a 2-hour podcast.
I mean, we had.
Yeah.
I guess what do you have in mind?
What's your favorite drink, and what do you like to do for fun?
Well, in terms of the alcoholic drinks, every now and again. Actually, I've really backed away from alcohol, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it's always been either a Long Island iced tea or an Angry Orchard as my usually choices, to be honest. Those would be either that or rum and Coke would be number 3. So all those are pretty tough, to be honest. So.
Yeah, I can dig a Jack and Coke. That's normally what I'll drink if I like. I don't go to the bars, but if I do go to the bars, I'll have a Jack and Coke. But yeah, not very often.
I see. And I guess for a regular, it'd either be a Coke, but I think my doctor wants me to back away from the Coke products and Pepsi ones. So I think now it's going to start being water, maybe a little Gatorade every now and again. So
yeah, good choice.
You said do for fun?
Yeah, yeah. What do you do if you're not playing drums?
Well, I do work 2 jobs. One's the full-time job, which is obviously your 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Then you have my second one, which I was able to at least negotiate in terms of the scheduling and everything. I now do it Monday, Friday, and Saturday, and that's just working at a restaurant as a kitchen assistant. So so that covers the bills and everything else too. Specifically the gas, since I have to go in the office every day. So
yeah.
At least for fun in terms of outside drumming, it's been podcasting, and then actually wanted to get back into doing more, going to concerts and videotaping performances. I actually got one with Story of the Year coming out pretty soon. That's gonna be like most of their songs I saw from their live concert. They came here on January 8th, so I'm kind of excited to get that out.
That sounds fun.
People. Yep.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Well, that's about it. I mean, not gonna spoil anything else, but that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much time, right? I mean, you can only fill that time with as much as you can, really. That didn't make any sense, but you might want to cut that out too. But you know what I meant.
You want to make do with the time you got given to you.
Thank you. That's why you're a podcaster, and I'm where I'm at.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't do much of this. I don't speak very, very well. So yeah, I don't think I could do your job. So good for you, man. Good for you.
I would say you have to at least speak well for your students, otherwise that's going to be a bad career path.
Yeah. I do good with drum speak, like do da do da dee. No, I can do that pretty well.
He's the drum whisperer.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I tell my kids. If you can say it, you can play it, but you got to know how to speak the drum language. So yeah.
All right. So, did you have anything else, or?
I don't think so, man. It's been fun. I appreciate you reaching out to me and helping me with my first one. So hopefully it turned out good, and hopefully I helped you as much as you've helped me. This is pretty awesome.
No worries, and don't worry about some of the stuff too. It's funny when people mess up too. It shows that it's a normal conversation. So
yeah, I don't care if you keep it all in. I don't get embarrassed very easy. I mean, I've done some stupid stuff in my life, so. Yeah, if you think if it's good for your podcast, man, keep it in, and I wish you the best.
We'll see, but it's gonna be a while to edit it. So actually, I got a couple to do before I get to yours, but
yeah, no worries.
I digress for now. So,
yeah.
But for the final question here, Johnny, you might have already touched on it a little bit too, but just to kind of reiterate, what sort of message of hope could you give to musicians and people out there as we try to move forward in the post-COVID world?
Oh man, that is a good question, and I did kind of touch on it. I always go to humor, and probably the most inappropriate times. But yeah, I would say just like Rocky Balboa said, keep punching, keep moving forward. You're going to get knocked down, but you got to get up, and you got to keep moving forward. But yeah, for the most part, be positive. Oh my gosh, just I don't know, it's a pet peeve, but anybody who offers unsolicited advice really needs to kind of take a step back. You know what I mean? So don't always offer advice unless somebody's asking you for it. And then if they do ask you for it, be professional. Be empathetic with your approach. Be positive. Again, positive energy. Share it. Share the positive energy and just be willing to help. Because you're going to need help eventually too, and you want somebody to come at you with a positive, attitude and with some love. But I think that's probably the biggest message is, don't give up. Keep punching, keep moving forward. I always go back to the scene in Rocky V, the street fight in Rocky V. He says like, "Hey, yo, Tommy, you knocking him down? Won't you try knocking me down?" And that message is so big to me because he's got his back. We have to have each other's back. You know what I mean? So I think that's a great way to live, especially as drummers. We have to have each other's back. If somebody needs help, you got to be there for them. If somebody's down, be positive. You never know what comes out of your mouth could help somebody, get through whatever they're dealing with. But the other thing I always go back to my dad and my late Uncle Bob would always say this. He said, "You'd be surprised at what a person could accomplish with just a little encouragement." So that's where I would leave it, is encourage people. Chase your dreams, like what you're doing, Brian. Man, I do wish you the best, and I think you're going to keep getting better and better, and hopefully I'll keep getting better and better with what I do, and with a little encouragement, you never know where we're going to end up. So yeah, just keep being positive, and I'll leave it with these 3 words, which I had printed on my Drummer of the Year trophy for my students. I'll show you real quick if I can open it. So this is the Drummer of the Year trophy they're going to get. One of my students will get. So you can convert your time to talent. All you have to do is practice. So you got to be willing to put the time in. Dream it, plan it, do it.
Spoken like a true prodigy. Anyway, that's very good words of advice there too. So thank you so much, Johnny. Definitely, I think your drumming will improve. As for good looks, I don't know about that, to be honest. You're kind of on your own about that, so you have to see what happens there, mate.
Yeah.
Okay. So Johnny, we reached the end of my podcast right here, and boy, oh boy, we talked for a good bit there.
Yeah,
normally I would have I would have liked to gone for the 2-hour mark, but unfortunately I got some other clients coming up here pretty soon, so unfortunately I have to cut it right here. So I guess, did you have any final words, any shout outs you want to give before we close?
No, I think I've said a mouthful. I rambled on a little bit there, so sorry about that. But hopefully it's not only entertaining, but hopefully it's informative. So if your podcast offers value, I think that's going to take you to the next level. So I like I said, I wish you the best, and thanks so much for thinking of me for inviting me on. And it's been an honor and a pleasure. And rock on, brother.
I think you gotta check out Frank's Drum Cave, because he's also in Central Ohio as well, or maybe somewhere in the lower half of Ohio. So maybe check him out. Frank's Drum Cave is his YouTube name. Okay. AKA Frank Dutcher. So shout out to Frank, by the way. So
shout out.
And lastly, how else can people reach you? What sort of social media are you on?
So I'm on pretty much, obviously YouTube. Johnny Davidson. I think I use my name for all the social media just to make it universal. So YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and then TikTok. I think it's the Johnny Drummer on TikTok, maybe. I don't even know, but yeah, if you look up Johnny Davidson, I'm sure that'll come up. But yeah, I've got a Twitch account too, but I normally don't go there to Twitch. I was going to do some live streaming and stuff, but I'm just kind of awkward in front of the camera. So if I do any live streaming, it might be just at like a live drum cover or something like that where I don't have to talk.
Something like that. But I'll leave it up to you. So best luck on your journey there, mate. All right. So everyone, my guest today was Johnny Davidson, hailing from Central Ohio. This guy's a drum teacher. He's also played in various bands. He's on YouTube. Hopefully he's getting a nice presence right there. So hopefully we get him to the 1K subscriber mark at some point. And we'll see what happens. So best luck on your journey there, Johnny. You stay safe. Rock on.
You too, brother. Rock on.